This episode of the 7th Valkyrie podcast was brought to you by me. Read full name. What? You want me to BC? No, I don't give a shit that that's not my full name. That's what they call me. Yeah, okay. Hey, you listening. Fucking, where were we at? No, stop bitching at me, Colin. Yeah, okay. To get the full experience, including all available seasons, extra artwork, fucking, I don't know, bonus features and behind-the-scenes content. Are you paying me for this? No? Okay. Well, go fuck yourself. You can download the 7th Valkyrie app, the link in the description. Do it. Or I don't know. Fucking whatever. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th Valkyrie podcast. I almost forgot what it was for a second. I almost said welcome to Colin Sharp. I'm Colin Sharp, and welcome to the 7th Valkyrie podcast. I'm sure your eyes are tired, so sit down and have a little treat for your ears. We're trying that as an intro. We're seeing if that sticks as a dope slogan. It's so funny when I'm doing podcasting stuff and then I get too meta about marketing CTAs and let's inject this thing into make sure it's contextualized for the right platforms. These are all marketing words, and so it's fun and also rewarding sometimes to use to tone it down and to get back just into sort of a casual space. And that's actually sort of what I'm talking about. I've titled this podcast "The Right Medium for XL Dreams," and I thought that was kind of clever. But of course I did. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it the podcast. But it's interesting because 7th Valkyrie has been. I hope I didn't just breathe super heavy on the mic. 7th Valkyrie has been for a long time a big part of my life, and I've been sort of noodling about the right way to tell and distribute this story for a very, very long time. As a storyteller, when you have something gigantic in mind, which is for some reason I just decided I wanted to make something enormous. I wanted the most epic story because that was what I read. I only ever read just gigantic adventures with 13, 14, 17 volumes. And I was like, blah. I loved getting, because, just the weight of bringing home an entire series and making, wrapping it all together. And it was just so... It was just, it was like being able to sink into an adventure. And it was like, hey, if I've got 17 books, then I can dive into this and there'll be so many wonderful twists and turns in the tale and I'll get to learn so much and live for so long in this adventure. So I wanted to create some sort of epic. And so I started out as a book, but then I was like, oh, it should be a TV show. And then I was like, nah, it should be a book. And then I was like, maybe it'll be a podcast or an audio drama, or maybe it'll be a movie series, or maybe it'll be an anime or a manga, or maybe it'll be a web novel, or maybe it'll be whatever this weird combination of audio drama, text novelization. I was like, at one point I was like, I'll make an interactive experience. And now it is whatever it is. It's primarily an audio treat. And I'll get into that later. But yeah, it's kind of turned into this little adventure that you guys, through whatever platforms, or I don't know how long you've been with me, but you found it, and welcome. And it wasn't always this way. It's funny, the proposition from the beginning hasn't changed. I wanted to create a story that had... that was as big as it needed to be, one that I could own completely, and one that had something to say, and I wanted it to be my magnum opus. And Lord knows, at least for my life right now, it is. Who knows if down the road, once this is done, if there's some other epic thing that I'll do, or if I'll create something better that makes people go, oh, well, if you like 7th Valkyrie, well, you'll love, the 8th Viking even more. throw away any Viking mythology. I just picked Valkyrie a long time ago, and I just thought it was a really cool thing. Cool name, cool word. Not even a name, literally just the word. Anyway, just before everyone starts running off into Norwegian theory crafting. But I wanted to create something that I could own, that I could create, that I could share with the world. And at first that meant doing everything solo. So I leaned towards kind of the mediums that my skills excel in, which were writing and voice acting, because I figured, hey, I can kind of bridge the gap, get into character and have a fun time doing it, but you guys can pick up some of the slack with your imagination. And then in terms of platforms, I picked the ones that I felt were more permanent. There are like 16 seasons planned for this project, and I've already been at it on and off for over a decade. Haven't got that many out. But what I can say is that even in the 2 seasons that I've created, and there was like a 3-year journey in the middle where I wrote an entire, I wrote up to what would be season 7 before. So just so you guys know, I did write up to what would be season 4 or 5 once already, and then realized I needed to kind of rehash it, and I started it over entirely from the beginning. So you guys have started getting this series. It's been going on a long time, and we're really I'm trying to get it moving in a way that it's like a little more timely than that, because I would prefer to not be 65 when I finish this series. Anyway, just so you guys know, you guys aren't the only ones sitting here complaining that it's like, oh man, this is taking a while. It's like, yeah, believe me, I've been working on it the whole time. Anyway, but George R. R. Martin rant aside, that's a long time to work on something. And I've seen in that time media and the world of media in general change and evolve. Since I started doing this project, I saw entire platforms and ways of communicating come and go. I remember looking back to Bernie Burns of the Rooster Teeth podcast once. He was like, for creators out there, you've got to have your own website, you've got to have your own presence, you've got to have your own slice of the universe, because Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're all someone else's platform, and ultimately someone else owns it. That's why the app came out. Just for context, the 7th Valkyrie app that you were that is kind of our new home and platform for it, because no matter what happens, that and the website are the 7th Valkyrie. No one owns them but me, and it's not a greed thing, it's a protection thing. It's making sure that this doesn't die because some billionaire had a great idea and then it was actually a terrible idea, because not all billionaires are fucking geniuses, and most of them are really arrogant. I just wanted protection in case something went down. Think about stuff like Vine or MySpace. Twitter's going that way, or maybe it isn't. Who knows? We don't know. But knowing that something you love won't die because of mergers and acquisitions and the whims of some jackass billionaire, that's kind of comforting. And I don't know. It's interesting. As I narrowed that down, I still had a lot of choices to make. It was like, oh, will it be a book? Will this thing, that thing? We got new advances in technology. Do you want to try this? You could sell a script, yada, yada, yada. And even though I've had a little bit more success and I've got a little bit more time and ability to kind of take a much wider perspective. When I first started this, I had no idea about the world of entertainment, marketing, sales. It was foreign to me. I just thought, oh, I'll write a good series and then money. Obviously, it didn't happen that way. And somehow, throughout all this, since I started recording, I have never once considered making it anything less than an audio project. Or anything different than an audio project. And it's weird because I work in marketing, as I often say, and I just wrote a report that this year's trend is the world is going to video and shorter videos and snippet videos, and you got to be agile and create videos. And so I'm like, great, let me write a 16-season audio drama that no one can see. That seems like a really great idea for the way marketing is going. But it's kind of funny because I started thinking, I was like, wait, we're all competing to have the best videos, and we're all getting better at it. We've got AIs that are making videos for us now. We've got, I make art with, I'm not good at art, but an AI with my words is pretty good at art. That's kind of weird. And like it's all like our eyes and our screens are only going to get busier, are only going to get more crowded. And at some point I realized, I was like, wait a second, like I don't even read books because my eye capacity has reached too much. I don't have time to read. I don't have time to look at a screen. Like I don't want to look at screens anymore because I read text. I'm constantly watching things. Like, everything's video. It's all just, it's like, my eyes are hurting. And that's when I realized that this thing I'd done the whole time, because I was super lazy and I was like, I just can't do art. And I didn't have the money or the patience for video production. It was actually a damn fine medium. And it's funny, there was a guy who this summer, it was kind of brought all the pieces together. This guy, Gabriele Urbina, I went to a talk with him, and he talked about how radio drama and radio shows have like 100 years of history. This is not a new form of storytelling. And I mean, you go back, like stories, like talk about the fucking Odyssey, man. Like Homer was telling stories. I mean, that's literally what all of storytelling is. Literally, people would just tell stories. And I remember when I was at Camp Tamanis, I one of my favorite things was telling stories and getting to really sink it. And there's something about that. There's something like that's... Oh, I'm gonna cut that out. It's indescribable about being able to tell a story. Like it's different than handing out a manuscript and putting out a book. It's different. It's getting to just, it's different than voice acting for a big production. It's me in this booth telling you this story. And Gabrielle pointed out that there's such a, like, there's a level of intimacy that comes from that one-to-one connection. And not just that, there's a level of sort of personalization that people are allowed to do, where when I fill a piece of this story and give you the tools to fill in the rest of it, you actually, your brain appreciates that and makes it more personal. And there are things that I can't show. There are things that I can't, display on screen. And I can, and one day I would love for some amazing director to spend $500 million to bring this, a season to bring this to life. And that would be great. But until we have that, we can get damn close with just this connection that you and I have. And it's a weird connection to think about. It's, I am speaking to you and I can put word, and sometimes I shift voices, sometimes I shift to, my style. But you are experiencing something in your head through a combination of me and through your own imagination. And that's a powerful connection. And I can't say that one day I won't bring in other voices, for guest stuff. And like I said, I'd be lying if the idea of bringing it up onto the big screen wasn't tempting. But for right now, it's funny, all those pieces of like, what's the right medium? What's the right platform? And most importantly, how do I want to tell this story? It's all come down to this, me staring eye to eye into various clothes in my closet, but giving you guys a chance to rest your eyes and enjoy a little treat for your ears, and embrace this sort of magical connection between storyteller and listener. And that's something that I wanted to really, and that's something that I'm going to continue to explore. And it's funny, like, as all these pieces are coming in together, I talked a couple weeks ago about how all the pieces were kind of falling into place with my new office and moving the towels and all these learnings and stuff. It's finally like it's slowly falling into place what the Seventh Valkyrie truly is, what this story and experience is. And it's more than just like another story. It's a chance, to connect. And that sounds really cheesy, but it's this kind of cool, magical art that has been going on since the dawn of time that now through incredibly complicated technology, we can do again. And I hope that as we move forward and as we approach the next level, and as I add little stuff to the stories to really settle you into that mindset, that you can enjoy that. And if you don't, then, hey, if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But like, I love the idea of being able to share not just the this act of telling a story, but of letting you take that part of filling in with your brain and letting it be so personalized and so powerful. And look, just resting your eyes and knowing that, like, hey, this is, there's a lot that I need to fill in. It's not, I can't just sit here with my brain off and go, or you can, but that, what we're doing, and even without you noticing it, your brain's filling stuff in, and I'm using your imagination to tell you an amazing story. So, I don't know. That's kind of a cool concept. Anyway, so I've hoped you've enjoyed this little treat for your ears, which is what I'd like these little podcasts to be, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the 7th Valkyrie podcast, brought to you by me, Blair Atal Sathura. Is that what you wanted? Is that yeah? Is that what you wanted? You wanted like what? Like a girl on a game show? You fucker. App's good. Listen to it. You just gotta it's got all sorts of cool shit on it. Yeah, Colin's getting mad at me. Yeah, fuck off. No, don't worry. Yeah, you listen. Download it. It's on the App Store and shit.